Hello everyone, back to today's second video, already on JMA Friday. You can find video chat here on the homepage. Just scroll down page a little bit and you'll find it above the snow desk. So that's taking us through the rest of January. And the JMA and CFS V2 models are indicating quite an unsettled January coming up, and generally fairly mild, wet and windy as well. A bit sceptical about that because, yes, I think we are going to have a westerly January overall, probably, and it probably will be quite wet as well, but I have a think it's going to be a colder variety of westerlies, and I'm not sure those two long-range models are really picking up on the subtleties of the pattern. So it's a complicated pattern. I'm going to talk you through, essentially this video will explain why I'm a bit dubious about a substantially mild and average January. I'm not really seeing that at the moment. And I'll show you why, because the jet stream is having an unusual alignment this year, and it's trying to all the time be pushing to our south, placing us on the colder side of the jet stream. Anyway, I'll take you through all of that in a moment. Before I go with that, though, just to say that tomorrow we've got weekend forecast coming up, and then on Sunday, quite interesting, because we'll have the first seasonal model roundup for the spring coming up on Sunday on New Year's Eve. Bit late with that, but you'll be able to get your first little snapshot of the spring in terms of the longer range output. But it'll be Sunday morning. Then Sunday afternoon we'll have one final video before we close the door on 2017. So that's the plan for the weekend. New Year's Day, of course, is going to have a regular video on New Year's Day as well. That's the plan for the weekend anyway, so do keep checking back for more. But we're going to have a look at weather next week to 10 days. Now, we're starting off with the 500 millibar high anomaly flow charts from the Penn State University website. Still no update from the ECMWS, so we just have a blank space there in terms of these 500 millibar height anomalies. Not sure what's going on here, but this is the GFS, and you can see what's happening there. So this is for this 7 to 10 day time frame. It will take us to around the 8th or the 9th of January. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and orange, the bright colours, the red, orange, extrapolates to high pressure. So we've got this area of above average heights through the Atlantic, and then we've got some above average heights to our north as well. Got below average heights as a trough over and to the east of the British Isles, and then we've got below average heights over on the eastern side of America. So it means that we do something a bit like that with the flow and with the jet stream. So we are placed on the cold side of the jet. You'll see that essentially this is a westerly pattern. We've got the lines here going across the Atlantic, that's the jet stream. But then they're dipping, jet stream is dipping down within that trough, within the 500 millibar flow. It's a very subtle pattern. I think this is the reason the long range stuff isn't picking up on how cold this pattern is. It's been quite a cold December so far. We have had several snow events now. Never really predicted by these longer range ones. I'm seeing this carrying on into January. It's not a brutal locked-in cold pattern, because you'll notice that over the pole we actually don't have much blocking. So we're not talking about a sustained locked-in cold pattern that goes on for several weeks and is severely cold, such as we had in December 2010. It's a much more subtle pattern than that. It's essentially still a westerly and rather zonal pattern, but the complicating factor, and what the longer range stuff isn't able, I don't think, to pick up on, is this unusual jet stream alignment. I'm not sure what's causing that, really, other than the fact that a few of the drivers, when we did the winter forecast, were pointing us towards the chance of a colder winter. Actually, the gas of this winter forecast was for a colder winter. We never said it was going to be a cold winter specifically. Our picks was sort of in a range from potentially very cold at one extreme to just near average at the other extreme, probably pitching it somewhere in the middle, coming out with a slightly colder than average sort of winter. But we never predicted sort of a locked-in, severely cold winter, just the chance of a colder winter and a snowier winter than we've had for quite some time. I think so far that prediction is actually coming reasonably is actually coming off reasonably well. So we'll see where this progresses. I'm not expecting any real changes in the first 10 days of January. So I think we'll have further alternating air masses, at times potentially quite stormy, at times, some days, actually rather mild. But I think as we get towards the end of next week and that first weekend of January, we probably go in to a more sustained colder period. Note colder, not necessarily severely cold, but certainly I think we get a few days again next weekend where we might have a risk of more snow. So these are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average, and we're going to be a bit up and down with the temperatures over the opening days of January. So this is 1st of January just here, up to New Year's Eve, actually going quite mild. Then sort of New Year's Day and the 2nd of January going a little bit colder, then a little bit milder again. And then this is the more sustained, colder period that we have from the weekend through to the 2nd week of January. Note there are 1 or 2 very cold outliers appearing on the ensemble now. Those are probably producing Scandinavian highs and easterly winds. But even if we discount those outliers, they aren't well supported. But so let's discount those. Generally still quite a coldish looking outlook though from sort of next weekend and into the 2nd week of January, certainly below the 30-year temperature average. By the way, we're looking at the ensemble for Salford up near Manchester today. For the precipitation side of things, just lots of rainfall spikes to come over the next week. It'll be a very wet start to January. This unsettled weather continues through to the 2nd week of January. And obviously, with it being a bit colder as well through the 2nd week of January, some of that could be giving snow. So how the surface temperatures are looking, again, with the precipitation. We just dealt with precipitation, so we won't bother with that again. Surface temperature-wise, so this is 10 degrees just here. This is 0 degrees just there. That's plus 20 just there. Would be very odd to get to that in January. And this is minus 10 down here. If we get to minus 10, then obviously we are having a very cold outbreak indeed. So we're starting off around there. We're starting off at under 5 degrees, really, at Salford. The next couple of days actually going to go quite mild at around 10. Then around New Year's Day, we cool things off again before it turns a little bit milder through the middle part of next week. But then after that, we do see that cooling trend in evidence. So let's track this. We're going a bit up in the next few days, then a little bit down around New Year's Day, then a little bit up again over the New Year. But then we get through to the 2nd half of next week and that first weekend of January, the 6th and the 7th, you'll see that quite clearly there is a cooling trend and we go quite cold and stay quite cold for several days. We're talking about maximum temperatures there on most of these ensemble members coming through somewhere at around 3 or 4 degrees Celsius with the risk of night frost as well. The minimum temperatures are down here. So quite cold then from sort of the end of next week into that 2nd week of January. Note those cold outliers that we have there. Some of those are producing ice days. They are outliers, but if they was to come off, we would be seeing temperatures staying below freezing all day. And that one in particular, that ensemble member just there in particular, is taking us down very close to minus 10 with the minimum temperatures by the time we get through to the end of the ensemble around the middle part of January. That's an outlier, so we're not expecting anything as cold as that. We're not expecting anything as cold as that. We may get something as cold as that, but it isn't at the moment anticipated. But it does look as though it will be turning quite cold, I think, the end of the 1st week and into the 2nd week of January. And with that, we have an increasing risk of snow. So these are the ensemble members that are producing snow. We begin here with really no snow coming up in the next few days at Salford up to around the 5th of January. There's hardly any snowfall spikes. But after that, you'll see the coloured spikes begin to appear and they begin to increase in number. So as we go into this 2nd week of January, this period just here, it looks like we do have the chance of bringing in more snow once again. Remember, that's for the north of England, so probably it wouldn't look as quite as wintry or snowy as that if we was looking at somewhere like London. but nevertheless we are seeing an increasing risk of snow as we're going into the second week of January. But the coming week, though, we're actually looking milder than average. This is the temperature anomaly from the 29th of December to the 6th of January, coming out a little bit milder than average in most parts of Europe. Again, coming out really quite mild. The warmest anomalies to average remain over in the eastern part of Europe. Precipitation anomalies are looking like that. Generally, a wetter week coming up, not just the UK, but for many western parts of Europe, with precipitation anomalies from the 29th of December to 6th of January, above average. Let's talk you through all the GFS runs that we've had so far today. This is the midnight run. We begin on Tuesday. Quite a coolish day on Tuesday, but low pressure out to the west will bring another dose of wet and windy weather. This is right around the middle part of the week. Then we keep it unsettled into the second half of next week, and it's on Friday into Saturday as we push this low pressure down into the North Sea, that we begin to turn winds into the north. So this is about dropping the temperature that the ensembles are seeing around the 6th and 7th of January. So winds turning into the north, that could well bring, if it's right, bring snow into northern and eastern parts of the country in particular. Then running up to day 10, this is Sunday the 7th of January, we're starting to build a ridge between Iceland and Greenland. So what happens that by the time we get through to day 10, which is Monday the 8th, we are actually now turning winds into the east. We've got a Scandinavian high, we're pulling the winds into the east. That could be bringing snow into eastern parts of the country. We've got quite a big cold pool sitting up over Scandinavia. That would be heading our way on those easterly winds. So that gets really wintry. The midnight run of GFS got really wintry as we go through into the second week of January with a proper Scandinavian high setting itself up. Not sure how long that would last, but notice the jet stream very much on a southerly track. That's where the jet stream is. And in fact, I can actually show you the forecast position of the jet stream there by having a look at that page. So that's where the jet stream is. Forecast being on the midnight run of the GFS. The red colour there indicating that jet stream is to our south. So it is down here and then going through there, which leaves us, if you're on the northern side of this, then you've got cold air. This is all cold up here, and to the south of the jet stream, then you're going to have mild air coming up from there. So we're on the cold side of the jet stream, and it is quite a long way south as well by day 10 on the midnight run of the GFS. This is the 6 o'clock run. So this one, again, quite unsettled and not overly cold through the middle part of the week. Could be some gale force winds coming through with them, particularly so in the north and west, maybe severe gale force. We'll cover that more in the weekend forecast. Into the second half of next week, so we've got this area of low pressure moving in by Friday. Now, this is quite interesting because on the northern side of this low pressure, the air is turning colder, very similar to the situation we had sort of Christmas Day and Boxing Day. Actually, we've got the cold air coming down from the north. We've got this milder air coming up from the south. There's a boundary between the two. So that could be some sort of snow situation somewhere across the UK on Friday and into Saturday. But by Saturday, that low pressure is getting out of the way. It turns the winds into the north. So bring down this cold air from the north. And then we start to move another low pressure into that cold air on Sunday the 7th. So this is, again, quite interesting. We've got reasonably cold air behind this low pressure. The air is coming out of Newfoundland and Greenland up here. Ahead of it, of course, the air is cold already from the northerly that we have on Saturday the 6th. So again, this could be some sort of snow event moving in from off the Atlantic. There's a boundary between cold and slightly less cold air. Might be a snow event going on there. Atlantic breaks through as we go through to Monday the 8th, that's day 10, and then a little bit beyond that we go back into those northerly winds again. So that's how things look a little bit beyond day 10, which of course is Wednesday the 10th of January, gone to 300 hours away. Low pressure is setting up across central parts of Europe there. We've got high pressure ridging through the Atlantic. And obviously this is a cold scenario as well. We're pulling down those cold northerly winds. Again, I'll show you where the jet stream is. The jet stream is causing all of this. So by Wednesday the 10th of January, the 6 o'clock run of the GFS was forecasting the jet stream again to be to our south. And actually the core of it is a very long way south there, going down into Spain, Portugal and North Africa. rather like that. And that's what's allowing, actually, the trough to set up through central parts of Europe. So that turns much colder even for Central Europe and even Southern Europe by the time we get through to the 10th of January. And then this is the very latest. This is the very late GFS. This is a midday run. This is just updated. Middle of next week, looking not particularly cold, but very unsettled. Do bring down a colder northwesterly flow with severe gale force winds on Wednesday, the 3rd of January. Then more low pressure moving through the country. Again, there's that low pressure for Friday, which is quite interesting, to say the least. We've got that low pressure just there. Cold air is trying to push in on the northern side of that low pressure. Milder air is coming up there. There's a boundary, a weather front, through that position. So, again, that could be some sort of snowmaker developing at the end of the coming week and into the weekend of the 6th and 7th of January. That low pressure gets out of the way on the 6th of January, turns the winds into the north. Then low pressure is struggling to move in off the Atlantic on Saturday the 7th. So there's some sort of weather front coming through here that is trying to push this cold air out of the way. That might be producing some sort of snow situation as well. The Atlantic does break through by Monday the 8th. It turns a little bit milder. Then stormy, just gone a little bit beyond day 10. Stormy to Wednesday the 10th. Before it looks like we're going back into that colder sort of situation again by Thursday. You know, not as much blocking there as we had on the 6 o'clock run of the GFS. But again, it's all the variations of the thing. Let's show you where the jet stream is again. And the jet stream is closer to us this time. It's just there. So it is further north, but then it bends, goes like that. So the reason this isn't as cold a run, the midday run of the GFS, as the other two, is that the jet stream is closer to us. But nevertheless, it's still more or less aligned northwest to southeast. We still have that trough within the 500 millibar flow around here. So it's variations of a thing, but essentially the jet stream is still wanting to push south and allow colder air to entrench into these low pressure areas as we go through to the end of next week and beyond, second week of January. Finally, the ECMWF, that's going to be updating in a couple of hours, but I'll just show you what it's showing for the midnight run. So again, we have unsettled weather through the middle of next week. Could be gale force winds around Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we have this area of low pressure coming in on Friday. Now, this is a bit further north compared to the other two, to the GFS, I should say. So the low pressure is just there. Again, on the northern side of that, there could be cold air being entrenched. On the southern side, it's fairly mild, but that probably brings a snow event to Scotland. The low pressure gets out into the North Sea by the time we get through Saturday the 6th, turns the winds into the north, and then we keep those northerly winds going up to day 10. That's how things are looking by Monday the 8th of January. Low pressure is trying to move in from off the Atlantic, but it's having a real struggle. There's a weather front in that sort of position. So again, anywhere to the north and the east of that could get snow. Anywhere to the south and west is likely to get rain. And where that will go beyond that, it's hard to say. There are two scenarios. Either that low pressure would move through and would turn the winds into the west, or that low pressure would slide away to the south in that sort of direction, and we'd build some sort of ridge up there and have a go at turning winds into the east. We can't go beyond day 10 with the ECMWF, unfortunately, but it would be very interesting if we could. The upshot is the opening days of January are looking quite unsettled and stormy, with bouts of wet weather as well, and up to the middle of next week, even into the second half of next week, actually looking reasonably mild. Now, I'm not talking about very mild, but we are talking about milder than we've had it for the last couple of days. But at the end of next week, it does look as though things will be turning colder. That might include some sort of snow event on Friday into Saturday. That needs watching quite closely, I think. Then after that, it looks like we go into a colder period with the jet stream shifting back to our south and allowing cold air to begin to entrench back in from the north. So quite an interesting outlook, to say the least, and we'll be keeping you posted throughout the New Year period on all the latest developments. Tomorrow we've got weekend forecast coming up, and I may do a evaluation of the autumn forecast as well. I'm very late with that, but I'll see if I can get that done. Tomorrow we'll see how regards whether it's autumn 2017 forecast did. And also tomorrow we may update the 7 to 10 day outlook as well. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.